So we're having a discussion tonight about the holidays, and we are talking about how do you manage expectations? How do you manage expectations of society? How do you manage expectations of yourself? How do you manage expectations of your kids? How do you manage expectations maybe even of your in-laws? We might even go there. I don't know. We might not. Not tonight. We're going to be talking about this all month in the month of December. So we are super pumped that you are hanging with us. Tonight we're going to be talking about how do you manage your own expectations and what the expectations that society's putting on us during the holidays. So we are super pumped to be with y'all. I'm glad that...
I'm trying to manage my expectations of how many butterscotch haystacks should I expect to consume during the holiday season.
A lot, I'm sure.
You think I should?
If your mom makes
does
them,
anybody
they're
else,
really good.
Does anybody else love haystacks?
Oh my God, those things are so good.
Does anybody have a food that you know you're going to need some help managing your expectations, or else you're going to be 800 pounds? If you have a fun, your in-laws know karate. Love that. You do know that, Jeff. Great memory. What's up, Wes? What's up, Justin Kineski? We got Tyron and Brooke, and man, just loving this. So we got a crew watching on my Facebook and on Nicole's, and so we're going to be talking, as Nicole said, about managing expectations. And we're going to be
episode number 17.
Number 17.
For Barry Share.
That's right.
And we're talking about holidays. How do you manage expectations?
So we want to manage your expectations of this episode. We are going to try to keep it within 30 minutes, which we've never done. But we're going to try to manage that expectation. And we're also going to keep it more interactive. Love it. If you bring, Sarah Alverson, if you bring some sausage balls to my house, I will not be able to manage my gluttony. I'm just going to eat them all. So...
Speaking of sausage balls, Pepper brought a whole bag full of sausage ball mix to our house for Thanksgiving, and then she left them, and Brandon took care of the rest of them. There was awesome. Like 30 left.
What's up? What's up, Barry? Dude, Barry, I miss you, man. Every time I want to fix my car, I'm like, I need an honest mechanic that would take care of me, and there ain't nobody like Barry Thornton up here in Charlotte, man.
If you guys are anywhere near TR and you need your car fixed, because he is amazing.
Yeah, are you still at Penland, Barry?
So no perfectly manicured Barrys in Strasbourg gowns playing silent on the piano this Christmas. Georgia, how did you know that's what we were planning on doing tomorrow? So okay, we are going to be talking. That's funny. I mean, you know, Georgia knows us so well.
Yeah, that's good. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to talking. In general, the whole idea is that we were talking about how the Christmas season, especially with everything that's being thrown at you, with expectations from the media and with social media now, it's like everybody's a human highlight reel, and they've got this little, what did you call it? Like a picture perfect? What are some of the picture perfect things that just make...
Pin-worthy Christmases.
Pin-worthy Christmas. Okay, unpack that a little bit.
So, of course, everyone knows about Pinterest and how we just love to pin the things that we would like to do, like to have, like to make, how we would like our family. And so these are all just perfectly pinned things. And so we want to have a pin-worthy Christmas so that we can show the rest of the world, social media, how perfect we are.
Oh.
And so,
because we are perfect.
Of course. No. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that nobody is perfect.
Right.
And so here, even before December 1st, today's December 1st, but man, like... Right, even before Thanksgiving, I would say, like, there's just, like, this pressure.
Yeah.
You know, do y'all feel the pressure? Do you feel the pressure just...
Why don't you name some specific things of some things that you feel the pressure of? Maybe something that you saw on somebody's social media that, whoa, Max is making his cameo.
There's Max. Hey, my cousin Debbie joined us. Hey, Debbie. And this is still... the tree that you and Jimmy gave us, like 7
A
years
long
ago.
time ago. Yeah.
So it's still rocking.
I still can't believe that we fit it in the front of our 1995 Honda Accord.
We did. It was awesome. And
So
back.
and back,
sides.
yeah. We barely
out with
we
it.
barely fit human beings in that, but it's just like a 10-foot tall tree. So anyway, so
Where you
let
guys
me just say
getting?
this: you guys don't have to have a 10-foot tall tree in your living room. If you think we're trying to have some sort of pin perfect Christmas by this little backdrop, like the fact that you're seeing this ginormous tree in our Facebook world that we're letting you see right now, like here's what the whole point of this whole thing is like you don't have to feel like you have to have a 10-foot tree. Yet, how many of us are willing to admit that sometimes when you see other people have things, or oh my gosh, they have this awesome tradition that I've never thought of, and then what happens is you start, oh, we should do that too, and then what happens? You
Add it on.
you start adding on, and you start adding on, and start adding on, and after a while, you have so many traditions and so many things that are not even really authentic to you, don't go back or anything, but you just feel the pressure from society to just make it all happen.
Yeah.
And so Christmas, which is supposed to be the season of joy and the season of remembering about Jesus, ends up being the season of stress.
Season of stress, the season of more, the season of perfection. And I mean, when you really think of like Brandon, Brandon and I got to go with our family back in 2006 to the Holy Land. And did you know, I'm going to pop somebody's bubble right now, somebody's Christmas bubble. Did you know that Jesus was not born in a stable? Let me just let that sink in for a second. Jesus was not born in a stable. Everyone has this picturesque view of like Mary on this donkey, and she goes down to the stable and there's a beautiful like hay basket ready for him. And Jesus was born in a cave. And so we were down in Israel and we went to Bethlehem and we went down into the cave where Jesus was born, and it was dark and damp and stinky. And then we came back out and we were all kind of like shell-shocked. And I remember asking the guys who were selling the stables right outside of the cave. They were selling the stables. And we were like, why do you sell stables for Bethlehem? And they said, oh, well,
Americans are more likely to buy the wooden stable version of the nativity scene than they are the cave. Even though the cave is actually where he was born, but people prefer their own versions of Christmas.
So that's what I was just thinking, is like, Christmas was not perfect.
Yeah.
The whole point of it was not perfect. Even our idealized view of what actually happened tries to make it more like idealistic.
Yeah. I mean, and this popped my bubble. The wise men weren't even there. They didn't come for a couple of more years.
Yeah, it took them a while to get that star.
And so the whole thing
up.
about like, why do and listen, so why are we popping everybody's bubble? That's not the mission of the Facebook Live tonight. But I think it's tying in because you're saying is like there's no such thing
as a perfect
Christmas. And yet we try to make it all happen all at once.
Yeah. Georgia says that she's trying to do all these traditions now as a single mom, and it feels different. And man, that's the truth. Like, people are going through some serious different seasons in their lives, and I think that the more times that we log on to social media, the more times that we compare ourselves to this picturesque Christmas of all these kids in these perfect pressed jammies that have all been bought and monogrammed, and the roaring fire, and
this is
the
making
perfect
me
cookies
stressed out
and everything. We get to a point where we realize we can't measure up.
Yeah.
No matter what season, if you're a single mom or you've got, or your marriage is intact or whatever it is, your kids are healthy, your kids are sick, it doesn't matter. Everyone is going to go through a season, a Christmas season probably, where things are less than perfect in your actual life. Like, finances are less than perfect. Your health is less than perfect, or your kids' health is less than perfect. And so, man, I mean, the expectations that we have of I'm going to make this the best Christmas ever.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard. It's hard to live up to those.
So let's talk about, and we really want this to be a conversation. So, what are you? Here's a great challenging question. Okay, and this is kind of a bigger question, and then I want to ask a question that you can respond to. Is this Christmas, what is enough? Okay, what's enough? Toys? What's enough? Lights, decorations? What's enough? Food?
Parties.
What's enough? Like how many parties is enough? Okay, and then I'm going to ask this question, get you thinking. What is ideal? Okay, is there such a thing as too much of something? Is there such a thing as, and so think about what would be your ideal Christmas season? Okay, and so how many parties is your ideal? And this brings a little bit of intentionality to your Christmas season. It's just like, have you ever thought about having a vision for your own Christmas season and being intentional about cultivating that? Because if we're not intentional, then what will happen is then the outside in will start, all these pressures will start to rule our life, and we'll do what the marketers on television who've been studying us and trying to use fear and guilt and shame and everything to get us to buy way more than our budgets should allow for, so that ultimately we're stressed out and miserable and have to buy more things to cope with the fact that we're miserable. And so think about those big questions, which is how much is enough, and then what is ideal for your Christmas season. But then let's think about this. What are you gonna, so specifically an action item here is, what are you gonna say no to?
What are you gonna say no to? Okay,
so what's an example of something that we are gonna say no to this Christmas season? And then everybody just start putting a comment down as to something that you're gonna say no to. I know you made a whole list, didn't you?
I made a whole list. Well, actually tonight's a great example because you were just out of state in a meeting with a group of friends and other people who've been in ministry with you for a long time. And you guys were doing meetings all day today, but then afterwards they had a really nice dinner at the hotel, and it was for these people, these guys and their wives. So, you know, we had the invitation to be able to go, stay a night in a hotel for free, eat a really nice dinner with a group of people that we really love and do ministry with. And you know what? We just had to say no. You know why? A lot of reason why we said no? Because we have a Christmas party tomorrow night. We have a Christmas party Saturday night. And those are only 2 Christmas parties. But
and we would have missed this with you guys.
And because we wanted to be with you, Paula Hughes and Matt Jackson and Stockton Perry and Allison Woods. Like, we wanted to be with y'all. So if we were down there at that swanky dinner, then we wouldn't be here in our living room.
So sometimes you gotta say no to some parties, you know, and just
miss out. It's okay. You're gonna miss out on the memories. You're not gonna be in the Facebook pictures. You're not gonna be tagged on Instagram, and that's gonna be okay. That's gonna be okay.
I love it. Dawn Zimmerman Burt. What's up, Dawn? She is bringing out something that I don't know where I first heard this, but good thing is one thing you want, one thing you need, one thing to wear, and one thing to read, in order for gifts for your children. I think that is a challenging, just effort at simplicity.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking a little bit more next week about managing our kids' expectations. Okay. And so that's a great thing to put in the file box for that, because we already had that conversation with our kids and it didn't go great. I'm just saying.
Imagine that. We're telling our kids we're going to get less presents.
Come back next week to find out how that worked out for us. Yeah. But anyway, Brandon, you were talking more about simplicity. And I think, again, for the Christmas season, before we get into that, like, what's one thing? I asked this earlier on Facebook, but what's one thing, one tradition? It could be Elf on the Shelf. It could be getting everybody ready for a Christmas card. It could be sending out 300 Christmas cards. It could be whatever the tradition is. What's one tradition? I'd love for you to just go ahead and put it into
the no category.
No, I want you to put it in the comments. What's one thing that if nobody else really cared, that you didn't put the elf on the shelf or something this year that you would be happy to drop? What's that one thing? It might be if it's like, I don't want to go see my in-laws, probably shouldn't write that. But
so one of the things for us was the Christmas card. That, and I know that like might devastate somebody out there who was hoping for a Berry family Christmas card mailed to you and everything. But we used to do that, and it used to be a thing of joy for us. And it took considerable time. And then we had 4 kids.
well, it wasn't even the fact that we just had 4 kids, because a lot of people do it with 4 kids, but it
Right.
was just that there was one year
Okay.
where you went big and you said, I want to not just give Christmas cards to like this circle of friends. I want to give Christmas cards to everybody. And it's all on you, Nicole. Let's
Yeah.
just be real. Can we just be real? Women, can you raise your hand? Can you give me a little 1 or something if like the whole entire Christmas card ordeal is on you? Like, give me a 1. Just maybe it's a man. It's the whole thing. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And so that one year,
Yeah, I thought it would be awesome.
You
Let's
thought
do
it was the greatest idea?
And I thought it would be awesome if Nicole completely did the whole thing.
did the entire
and I did
thing, and
nothing.
you're like, could you call my suite mate from Furman from my sophomore year and get his current address? It's like, no, I can't. Like, I don't want to. And
Yeah.
then handwrite it in your beautiful calligraphy, and like, it was just too much. And so the next year, which was last year, we took this picture up in this. We go to this Christmas party at a retreat center called Living Waters that we've talked about it a lot on Barry's Share. And
If you need some inner healing,
if you need
check it out. livingwatersministry.com.
Yeah. So we go up there every year for like a Christmas party, and we got there just in time for a beautiful sunset. And so I took my camera out and set it up on like an electrical box, and we took one picture, and it was like miracle of all Christmas miracles, because
Every kid was
every
looking.
kid was looking.
We were all smiling.
It was one picture, one and done. And so I took it and I slapped like a stamp on it, meaning like a like on Pick
Merry
Monkey,
Christmas or
yeah, Merry
something.
Christmas or something on it. And I sent it out to Facebook and my friends on email, and was just like, this is it.
Boom.
And you know what? Wow, so much time, energy, money, frustration was just saved. And I wanted to be intentional about using that time and energy and money and mind space to give it to the people that I love the most.
See some of these comments. So Andrea Harris says, we never spoil Ava at Christmas. We maybe purchase 3 big toy items that are age appropriate. Also, we're such homebodies that will only do 1 to 2 parties. Nothing against those who spoil their children or love going to parties. We just don't make Christmas too commercial.
That's awesome.
In our house.
Go for that. Good. That's what we're trying to get to. I mean, we'll be honest. Like, Christmas has always been a really big deal
Yeah.
in our house, and I don't even necessarily know if it was just because we loved it, but you know, even that was expectations of
Sure.
family members and people, and there's always gonna be lots of parties, and so we've spent a lot of time trying to live up to the expectations of others. And so this year it almost feels a little bit, you know, and we've had other years where we're like, we're just going to simplify, and this feel good. They feel good.
It's because if you end up, and so you have to, this all boils down to, you know, I think you have to figure out what you're going to say no to, but what you say no to is a reflection of the reason why you say no is because you want to say yes to the things that you really value.
Yeah.
And so, you know, some of the things, and we just made kind of a list of just some of our values, you know, in the Berry home, some of our core values, and we value, we say it like this, Berries love Jesus. And so our like number 1 value is Jesus. And so we realize that if we include all the elf on the shelf and all of the parties and we include all of the commercialized stuff about Christmas, then it could totally take away from the focus that we want our girls to know that this whole season is about Jesus. It's about the God of the universe who loves us so much that he didn't want to leave us in our fallen condition, separated from him, but he said, you know what? I'm going to empty myself and I'm going to come and take on frail humanity and become a baby and and I am going to dwell with me. God with us. I mean, that's amazing.
It's amazing.
And we want to be able to take the time to somehow communicate that to our 2-year-old, to our 4-year-old, to our 7-year-old, to our 9-year-old. And if we are trying our darndest to figure out the next Elf on the Shelf thing, then we may totally forget to tell our kids about the real reason for the season.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Elf on the Shelf is horrible or whatever. I'm just saying you've got to recognize, we all do, that life is a trade-off. And if we focus on one thing, then that means we're not focusing on some other things.
Right.
And so you have to ask yourself, what are your values this Christmas? What do you want the focus to be on?
Yeah. And I think just piggybacking off of that, a lot of people are really doing great things with Advent, and just walking through that journey toward the birth of Christ. And it's just so cool to see some of the resources that are available to make that kind of you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think my sister-in-law put up a thing on Facebook about one of the Advent things that they're doing that they just got. And so I'm excited to hear how that goes. And then also on top of that, just saying, you know what? And I know that she has a proper perspective about this because we talk a lot, but you know what? Like, we could be really wanting to point our kids toward Jesus, and it could look like a creative monkey circus while we're trying to read the Bible story to them. I mean, today I was just trying to read the first story of Advent.
Oh gosh, it was awesome.
And I had to interrupt myself 45 times to tell them to stop jumping on the couches or sit down or please listen. And you might hear me, but you're not listening, and like talking through the whole thing. And so, I guess all that to say, like, we want to point them toward Jesus, and whatever works.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a little bit. It doesn't have to be this elaborate thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be a production.
You don't have to make a production out of Advent. Even you don't have to make a production out of. I'm gonna make my kids know that this is Jesus' birthday. I'm gonna make my kids know the real reason for the season.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. And so
there's a temptation you can get real religious about it, and if you do that, and if you make them like get here and sit down, and this is the Bible, you better respect. I mean, if you get like that, then you can actually have the opposite effect.
Yeah.
And they can start associate, the Bible and the whole Jesus story with like, oh gosh, mommy's really mean to me when she's talking about Jesus.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, it's just that perspective, that managing the expectation of like, hey, we want this to be special for our kids, and we want it to be a good experience for all of us. I don't want to be stressed out about it, trying to come up with different activities and stuff like that. And like I said, there are some really good resources that do make it super easy for you to be able to celebrate the season in that way. There's a lot of free stuff on the internet, and but then again, you don't even have to do that. It could just be a prayer, a Bible verse, one discussion in a car. It could be something very simple.
Just seizing a moment, a
you're
teachable
just seizing
moment.
a moment and saying, "Hey," and that's what we do throughout the whole year, not just Christmas. So, Georgia's just saying how they're just spending more time when they're opening gifts, watching each other, and I just love that. I mean, that's just been something that I really appreciated about different Christmas traditions, and just seeing how everyone kind of does things differently, and so that's really cool. I'm really glad to see how you're doing that. So anyway. We love you guys. We don't want to take up too much of your time. Next week, we are going to be talking about managing your kids' expectations. We're going to be talking a lot about, especially toward the holidays, but managing your kids' expectations in, how much time do they expect to be with you? How much, we're going to be talking about the whole topic of gifts.
The amount of gifts.
The amount of gifts, the amount of money that you're
How
spending
much
on
is
gifts.
too much?
How much is too much? And we're even going to be, like George is talking about how to make it a little bit more meaningful for them, so that it's not just like this rush through, and then you get to the end of it and everyone's like, I just spent $1,000 and they didn't even notice the last 4 things, you know?
And then maybe even some ideas for cultivating generosity in our kids, and realizing that there are those that are less fortunate, and just to make sure that our kids aren't living in a vacuum.
Right.
And that they don't just think about themselves and just in the me world, but they recognize that there are 500,000 people in Haiti that just got displaced by Hurricane Matthew. And
without being a killjoy.
yeah, I mean,
being a little realistic.
I mean,
but
you don't do that, like, you know,
with your 2-year-old.
like, and timing's everything when you include that stuff. But maybe I would love for us to share, you know, when is the best time to talk about that?
Yeah. So I would just think, to close up tonight, I just thought of like one sentence that kind of just puts everything in a nutshell, and that's this. If you make everything special during the holidays, then nothing will be special. If you make everything special, then nothing's special. And so if we can just eliminate some of the things that maybe don't bring us life, maybe don't bring our families life, really, it's just being done because we think we should, or it's always been done. And, you know, we do not, you as parents especially, or as husbands and wives even, it is not your job to make perfect memories, to make your kids have perfect memories of every single Christmas and every single holiday. It's our job to be real and love and give grace and patience. And those are the memories that people are going to remember, not the perfectly timed pictures and everyone in their matching jammies and everything all the time. So those things are fun and they're great. And if they can give you life and they bring you life doing it, then go for it. You know, everybody has their own measure of what they can handle during the holidays. And I'm just saying, take a few minutes, even after we log off, and just do a little bit of introspection of what can I handle? I mean, take into account your season of life. What have you gone through? You know, what have your kids gone through? What's your spouse gone through? And each year it could be different, but for you this year, what, you know, are you going to be doing that's going to bring you life? So
in this specific
holiday season. So I see Andrew's watching. Hey Andrew, we love you. We see Natalie here and Natalie Winchester and Natalie Williams. Hey
Natalie.
Andrea, Miss Christy, Georgia. Jeremy Tiz says they're expecting in June. That's
what?
awesome.
Hey,
Congratulations.
That's a Christmas present. That's awesome.
That's fabulous. We're super pumped for you guys. You're going to be great parents. So we love you guys, and we want to just say thanks for being with us tonight. If you have any comments or questions or additional thoughts, feel free to private message us on Facebook or get on to our Berry Share. We would love to answer anything. Not that we have all the answers, but we're well into just engage in conversations. So we'll see you next Thursday at 9 o'clock when we talk about managing our kids' expectations for the holidays.
All right.
Take care. Be blessed.
Love you guys. Peace.